When I was a kid, there was no way I pictured life like how it is now. Like, yeah, I knew when I grew up I had to get a job to live, but I did not know it would be this expensive to live. I feel like I could literally name 20 things right now that cost way more than they used to that I use in everyday life. And everything's really just compiling, man. And it sucks when we've literally been brought up to value money so much, but now it is harder than ever to obtain it. Therefore, kind of making me feel guilty about not, quote, making it or just like reaching a certain status. And of course, when I say that, I mean money-wise, financial-wise, because again, that's what we're brought up to care about the most. You know, we literally went to school for like, what, 15 years of our lives or whatever, I don't know, to just prepare us for the next 40 years, even more of working to earn money. Like, really think about that. Our whole existence is to earn money, and we've been taught that way since we were super young, 5 years old. And you know, now that everything's so expensive and it's harder to save for and all that, it is really demotivating. Like, genuinely, it just leaves me with no clear future of like, yeah, if I do this, if I work this hard, this is what I'll achieve. But honestly, man, I'm not asking for a luxury at all. I just want to live, not just survive, you know? And I think the saddest part about this is that a 9-to-5 was built in a time where one income could support a whole family. So it was a fair trade-off. You know, I give you 8 hours of 5 of my days in return for money to feed my whole family, buy myself a house, and even go on a holiday every year. But now I'm technically given the same amount of time for way less. So even just in that regard in general, the older generation's time was so much more valuable and paid for at a higher rate. Even thinking about like university and college, man, it made sense for the boomers, for the older generation to go to college or university because they could put themselves in debt knowing that they would make it back in the future and it would be worth their while. But nowadays in 2025, even if you had a degree, you're not guaranteed a job, you're not guaranteed heaps of income, and you're not guaranteed to be able to make a decent life of yourself even if you get a good degree. And just this landscape of just life in general right now of how expensive everything is. I feel like almost everyone has some sort of side hustle, whether it's just like freelancing on the side or just trying websites here and there to make you money. I've made a couple videos explaining how I've made some money on the side, so you can check that out if you want. A lot of people seem to like that. But like I was saying, heaps of people make money online these days, and I don't think it's coming out of a want. I think I'm lucky to have an experience where I want to make YouTube videos. You know, I've wanted to do this my whole life, even as a kid. But, you know, not everyone wants to do certain things, like trying to make money online. They're literally doing it because they have to, because their 9-to-5 job, which used to set them up for life, is not providing them with enough value to live a good life. And when I say good life, I don't mean luxurious. I literally mean stock standard, having a home, feeding a family, and going on a holiday every now and then. Like, it's almost impossible without some sort of hustle. And it's sad, man, because people don't want to do it, and it can really tire people out. Like, even doing this video, for example, I've come off my regular day shift working 8 hours, and now I'm putting time into this where there's not even a guarantee if I'm going to make money back on this. And I guess with everything being so expensive and everything being so out of reach, it sort of makes me think about what I want to prioritize. And maybe if financial goals are super hard right now, maybe it's just mental clarity that I should seek more of and prioritizing that. Because yeah, man, the older I get, the more I see that as a form of success. Those that can truly relax, and I mean truly relax, with no thoughts in the back of their head or anything like that, that is a crazy flex. So not to get corny, but it is not weak to feel lost right now. The world has definitely changed, I always say it, and it sucks, man, but it means you need to adapt with it. But I know all this talking does nothing, because the fact that I can't even go to the supermarket and buy myself a little sweet treat for a good price is crazy. I'm not going to look at it now, but I can almost assume as well that with what's going on with everything, the depression rates are going up, or, you know, the unaliving rates, because not only will this take a huge mental toll on heaps of people, it'll take a toll that someone literally can't afford. You know, the fact that someone might face homelessness is definitely a reason for them to make, you know, sad actions. I completely understand where people like that come from in times like these. Like, I could not imagine not having money backed up for myself on a rainy day, you know what I mean? And man, I think a lot of young people are starting to figure it out now, that we've been sold something that doesn't really work anymore. Like, the trade-off just isn't worth it. Like, they just went to school for over a decade and are now faced with like 50 years of work. They also have the capability to see all possibilities and walks of lives through their phones. You know, something no other generation had access to. This means they are seeing possibilities beyond a regular 9-to-5. They're aware that most 9-to-5s now feel like survival. You wake up tired, commute somewhere you don't really want to be, spend 8 hours doing tasks you're not passionate about, just to come home and try to squeeze in a bit of life before doing it all again. That's the system. And I'm only just noticing people silently questioning it now. Like, how is this the best option? How is this what we're supposed to be grateful for? And I'm not saying everyone hates work. Some people love what they do. But for the majority, it's just this loop: work, eat, spend our money, sleep, repeat. And if you're lucky, you get 2 weeks off a year to feel like a human again. And in 2025, I hope you're really lucky because it is damn expensive. We're being held to standards that were set decades ago, while the cost of living triples and pay stays the same. And I think people are finally seeing it for what it is, not because they want to rebel, but because they literally can't survive like this. You work all week and you still feel behind. You can't afford to start a family. Can't afford a house, can't even afford to stop working for a week without everything falling apart. So yeah, people are opting out, not because they're lazy, but because they're tired of pretending this system is working. They want something different, more flexible, more human, something that doesn't treat your whole life like it's owned by a company. We weren't built to sit in chairs all day answering emails, weren't built to spend our youth in spreadsheets just to maybe retire by 70. And even that's a maybe. A lot of people are waking up to the fact that time is the most valuable thing we have, and most jobs aren't giving enough in return for it. And sure, you need money, but you also need a reason to get out of bed, something to care about, something that makes you feel like your life means more than just being productive for someone else's bottom line. The goal used to be success. Now it's just trying to feel okay, trying to feel free, not rich, not famous, just free, to wake up and not dread the day, to not feel trapped by bills, deadlines. Like, man, I'm genuinely hoping things start to shift for everyone, because right now it feels like a lot of people are stuck in a cycle that's wearing them down from all sides. The exhaustion isn't just physical, it's mental, emotional, and financial. People are waking up every day tired, not just from lack of sleep, but from the weight of trying to keep up with a system that doesn't seem to care if they're thriving or just barely surviving. But what gives me some hope is that this growing awareness, this questioning of the status quo, is real. It means people aren't just accepting things because that's how it's always been. They're seeing there has to be more than trading their time and energy for a paycheck that barely covers rent and bills, with nothing left over for the life they actually want. I hope that realization pushes us toward creating spaces, jobs, and ways of living that respect people's time, creativity, and well-being, that don't demand constant hustle or sacrifice of mental health just to scrape by. But I truly hope that with more voices speaking up and more people refusing to settle for less, we can build something better, a life where work doesn't drain the soul, where people feel like they have control and balance, and where surviving isn't the baseline, but just the start of something more. Because if there's one thing this generation has shown, it's that they're ready to fight for that kind of freedom. And honestly, that's something worth holding on to. But anyway, man, I'm rambling. I could go on this forever. As always, all my links are down below. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about this shit, because it really is crazy. It's been Once Faded. Deuces.